I'm going to let that one lie. Go.
Welcome to the 2017 Wallingford Public Schools Convocation. We have a great program planned for you this afternoon. I will ask everyone to move in from the back and find a seat and keep the aisles clear because we need it for one of our performances. So we'll give you guys like a minute to move in and clear the aisles and clear the back for the students. There's plenty of seats up front, so please move up now. Please stand for our national anthem by High School, Convocation. Please welcome the West End Players from Lion King Jr. performing He Lives in You.
I can't go back. What would it prove anyway? It won't change anything.
Tomato himela.
Would you cut it out?
I can't cut it out. It will grow right back. Tomato himela.
Who are you?
The question is, who are you?
Well, I thought I knew, but now I'm not so sure.
I know who you are. You're Mufasa's boy.
You knew my father?
Correction. I know your father.
I hate to tell you this, but my father died a long time ago.
Wrong again. He's alive. I'll show him to you. Look down there.
That's not my father, that's just my reflection.
No, in the carpet.
child Simba. You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back? I'm not who I used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son, and the one true king.
No! Wait! Don't leave me! Please! Don't leave me.
Hey, Bo, what was that? The weather. Most peculiar, eh?
Yeah, looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
But it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but if it means facing my past. Hey, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Yes, the past can hurt. The way I see it, you can either run from it, or you can learn from it. You see? So what are you going to do now?
I'm going back.
Good. Get out of here.
Some of our distinguished guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. Welcome, and another round of applause for our bocce group, as well as the students from Western Ontario. It's truly amazing to see the talent. And every year that we've done that, I get emails on the first day of school or over the weekend saying how it's so important for our teachers to see their students grow and mature, and you all have a part in that. And I think that's something that we have to celebrate more, is everyone's part that they play in every stage of development of a child in our district. It's not just about that year's teacher or just one year's teacher in particular, it's about all of you working together. Before I forget, because I always do, I do want to thank several people for their help today in putting together today's event. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our host at Lyman Hall, Joe Corso, his administrative team, for their support, as well as the custodial staff. Positive affirmation. All right. I'd also like to thank Jane Hafner, Dean Delavecchio, for their support. Paige Sperry, as well as Karen Ripa. We saw Chris Waldron assisting. We also like to thank Lisa Zopowitz-Ives, who also assisted with the last performance. In addition, we are going to have a performance later by Moran Middle School, so Lori Brandel and Evelyn Lorenzo for their support. And Rob Kobe for putting together the pictures from your summer vacations, which was very interesting yesterday because he had many of them, and I was able to watch that, and it was just incredible. And of course, Kate O'Donnell for her support this morning, or this afternoon. So again, I hope everybody had a great vacation. If the pictures were any indication of that, you definitely have put your place in the world over the summer. I know this summer was a little bit longer than usual. I think some of us, if not all of us, believe while it was longer, it still seems shorter. But that's just, I think, getting older, as I've been told. So without further ado, though, I'd like to recognize and welcome to the podium to say a few words on behalf of the Board of Education, Ms. Roxanne McKay, our board chair.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll tell you, it makes me so proud as a board member when I see student work like this. And when people say, oh, it's a thankless job, nothing is furthest from the truth, truly. And this perfectly embodies it. So I just wanted to make mention of that. But on behalf of the Wallingford Board of Ed, I want to welcome all of you to the 2017-2018 academic school year. I don't know about you, but like Dr. Menzo, I feel like this summer just flew by. And I hope you guys had a wonderful summer, great opportunities to recharge your batteries and spend time with friends and family. And as I heard a few people say, do maybe 1 to 6 too many happy hours, but that's okay too. But honestly, I do want you to know that the Board of Ed recognizes the many challenges you guys face, and it's tough being educators. We appreciate your willingness to work collaboratively for the advancement of our district. You have the support and admiration of this Board of Ed, and your professionalism and your commitment toward educating all of our students goes noticed every single day. We are very proud to partner with you guys in the name of Wallingford Board of Ed. So with that, I hope you guys have an amazing year, both personally and professionally. It's really rewarding for you. So best wishes, thanks.
I would also at this time like to thank my central office team, in particular Miss Cindy Lavalette, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel, who is back in full form and ready to take on the world. As many of you know who spoke to me while Cindy was out, I desperately missed her, not only for her, obviously her professional capacity, but anyone who knows Cindy for half a second knows that she's an amazing individual in person, on the inside and out, and it was great to have her back. So we welcome her back. Also, and it was, sometimes when you get put into situations, you just do the best you can, and we lucked out, and Miss Carrie Latour as our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, an amazing person who has just stepped in, moved forward, understands the voice of the teachers, administrators, of parents, and of students, and I could not be happier with the team that we have at Central Office. So I just want to say thank you to them, as well as our other Central Office members. We have our new business manager, Mr. Dominic Barone, who is here today with us. We welcome Dominic. We also welcome Laura Lemaszewski. Did I get that right? All right, I didn't even practice, that was good. But Laura is our new Director of Special Education. At Central Office, we also, of course, work with Karen Vayu, who is our Technology Coordinator, Mark Deptula, who is probably out in a building trying to fix something before the school year starts, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, and Melissa Isles, who works in Counseling Coordination. We all work together, and we also have a new food services director this year. So please make sure that when he comes out to your schools, David Mencher, that you invite him in. He's actually a professional chef. He would love to go into classrooms and actually do demonstration lessons. So if you want to have some healthy snacks at no cost, I would say write that name down. I hear a little murmur in the room right now. That's M-E-N-S-H-E-R, David. So please feel free. He's quite a character and certainly will be a great member of our team. So we have an exceptional food services staff, and to now have a leader to guide them as they move forward, it's great to have that in place. At this time, speaking of leaders and guidance, bringing words on behalf of the mayor and himself, of course, is the chairman of the town council, Mr. Vinny Cervoni.
Thank you, Dr. Menzo. I would like to start by acknowledging my fellow town councilor, Chris Shortell, who is here. And is Vinny Testa in the room today? No? Well, hearts out to Vinny. As many of you, maybe some of you know, when I'm not practicing law or working in town government, I'm a musician. I play in a band, and I'm one of the youngest band members. We play very classic rock. And being that some of the band members are senior to me, there's some hearing challenges. And every once in a while we get told to turn down. And people who know me know I'm particularly sensitive about noises and sounds. I was having lunch with a friend the other day, and I told him how much I enjoy the exhaust note of my new car, particularly when it changes gears. And he said, only you would appreciate it. But the reason why I bring up this band I'm in is because, as loud as we may be, Hard Road has nothing on the staff of the Wallingford public education system. I am always impressed when I walk in here at the din, at the noise, at the energy, all of you talking. And for all the years I was in school, I can't ever remember being this excited on the first day of school. And so for that, I tell you, I am impressed with my perception of your energy as I walk in here and as you prepare to do your important work. And then I'm serenaded by Vivace, and there's a theatrical performance, and school hasn't even started yet. So I can only imagine that the year ahead will be spectacular, and it's because of the work that you guys do, the very important work that you do for the students of Wallingford. For that, I personally am very grateful, and I will tell you that those of whom I speak in Wallingford Town Government are also very grateful. So I thank you in advance for your work for the coming year, and I look forward to success to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Menzer. Have a great week.
One more person before I forget, who I could not do what I do every day, is Linda Lavelle, my administrative assistant. As many of you know, Linda is a one-person office for the last year and going into this year. And I just want to, if you would indulge, just give her a big round of applause. I love it. In our new space, I can definitely hear when Linda is on the phone. And it's so much fun because Linda could probably talk. She should do hostage negotiation. Because many times she's really held hostage on the phone by whomever she's speaking to, but she's so calm. But it's those days that she gets off the phone and she will never say a curse word, but she'll just go, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm human. And I'll run out of my office, you're mad, aren't you? You're mad, let it out, come on Linda, let it out. And we just, and she'll be like, oh no, I'm fine. So I'm blessed to have somebody like that with me to, help me come out of my shell every so often. So at this time, I would like to introduce Ms. Paige Sperry, who is somewhere in the room. There she is, who's going to introduce our next selection.
Hi, as Dr. Menzo said, my name is Paige Sperry. I am the director of the Spring Musical at Sheehan High School. For the past 3 years, we have entered into the Halos Musical Theater Awards run by the Seven Angels Theater in Waterbury. Basically, it's like the Tony Awards for high school musical. The Halo Awards, typically, they have about 60 schools competing. 2 judges come to one of our performances and assess the show in many different categories. Last year, our production was Beauty and the Beast. We earned 13 Halo nominations and won in 2 categories. Best performance by a leading actress in a musical, which went to Samantha Spazzacco for her role of Belle, and best performance by a dynamic duo in a musical, which went to Johanna Croston and Terrence Boken for their roles of Babette and Lumiere. Since so many of the main characters of the cast were seniors, it was very difficult to get them all here. So instead, we are going to show you their performance from the Halo Awards ceremony. I am very lucky to be able to work with such talented students every year. I hope you enjoy the video.
To say
Wasn't that amazing? Those students each year at both high schools, if you didn't get to see Little Mermaid, you truly missed a gem in that performance also. Just incredible talent. So again, another round of applause for the students. At this time, again, it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Cindy Lavalette.
It's really, really good to be back. I'm happy to be starting this school year, and I'm especially happy to have the honor of introducing, on behalf of the entire district's appreciation for our paraeducators of the year from all of the different schools. One of the things that I think we've all learned is that we are only as good as the support people, or they're helping us, and they help to make us shine, they help to make our students shine. And so we are so appreciative of all of our paraeducators, and I'd like to highlight and invite to the podium each of the para of the year from every school. So first I'd like to introduce Jody Cooney from Lyman Hall. From Sheehan High School, Deborah McLaughlin-Malicki. From Dag Hammarskjöld Middle School, Therese Clark. From Moran Middle School, Jamie Santiago. From Cook Hill School, Marianne Beechner. From Parker Farms Elementary, Lisa LaPlante. From Pond Hill, Susan Morosini. From Pond Hill, Shayna Murray. I'm sorry, from Rock Hill, Shayna Murray. From Stevens, Pamela Savinelli. From Mary G. Fritz Elementary, Linda Subkowiak. And for Moses Y. Beach, I would like to introduce the district-wide, so their school para of the year, but also the district-wide para of the year, Susan Chapokis. So Susan Chapokis has been with us in Wallingford, helping our students and helping teachers since 2000, so for 17 years. She has served in a variety of locations around town, and I think a sign that was just held up as I introduced her really says it all. It says that kids and teachers love Susan Chapokis. Pleasure of watching Susan work with some of our neediest students, and she has just that indefinable something that helps kids grow and succeed and helps the teacher to succeed with that student. She is absolutely dynamic in the classroom, but she's equally dynamic in supporting her fellow paraeducators. I've also had the distinct pleasure of collaborating and working and helping to resolve problems and helping to help her and the whole para-leadership team to raise the level of professionalism in paras, and all the paraeducators never cease to amaze me and impress me with their desire to do more. What more can we do for the students? What more can we do for the teachers to help support them? And I really think a lot of that comes from the example that Susan has set for all of you. So I'd like to give Susan the opportunity to have a few minutes at the podium to share some words with you as well.
Thank you all. It is a great honor to be standing here as Wallingford's Paraeducator of the Year. And I know you're all thinking about one thing, the ice cream. So I promise I will make this very brief. What are the feelings of a paraeducator during any given day? Every day we come to work with a positive attitude, hoping to make a difference in a child's life. Though it may take days, weeks, or even years to make that difference, we paraeducators never despair because we understand the value and importance of time. We have the patience, empathy, and compassion to be there every day for every student. Whether it's when they master their sight words, read their first sentence. Lost my place. I do. Okay, or they count for the first time to 20 independently. Nothing can compare to the incredible feeling of when a student gets it. We have watched children reach unthinkable milestones, and to realize we may have been even a small factor that brought them there. As we say at Moses White Beach, it's a true bucket filler. As Leo Tolstoy said, the two most powerful warriors are patience and time. Thank you for this recognition, and I wish all of you a great school year.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a fantastic 2 days. And I have the distinct honor and pleasure to introduce and offer congratulations to each building's Teacher of the Year. So I'm going to take a moment and let them walk down the aisle and bask in the applause. For representing Lyman Hall, Dean Della Vecchia. Representing Sheehan High School, Carrie Palange. Representing Dag Hammarskjöld, Gianna Berga. Representing Moran Middle School, Michelle Wolfram. Representing Moses White Beach Elementary, Diana Ball. Representing Parker Farms, Carissa Lagana. Representing Pond Hill, Barbara Minitillo. Representing Rock Hill Elementary School, Emily Bannock. Representing EC Stevens, Tamara Swift. Representing Mary G. Fritz Elementary, Sinead Mezzi. Representing the Cook Hill Integrated Preschool, Jody Sinisgali. Representing not only Cook Hill School, but the Wallingford Public Schools, this Teacher of the Year is incredibly creative, innovative, and is dedicated to her classroom, her students, and our community. She is not only a great motivator in the classroom for her students, but has an impact on her colleagues as well. It is my pleasure to introduce the Teacher of the Year for Wallingford Public Schools, Erin Berthold.
Third grader, I can't wait until I'm a grown-up and I know everything. I won't have to learn anymore. Me. That's not true. I'm a grown-up and I don't know everything. I am still learning every day. Third grader, well then you must not have been a very good student. Truthfully, I was a good student. I earned good grades, took advanced classes, and graduated with honors. At the time, I thought grades were everything. A perfect red A+ with great exclamation point written next to it, or a 100 that my teacher had turned into a smiley face, were the ultimate signs of achievement. To ensure I would receive this much needed validation, I followed the same 5-step sequence to prepare for every test. 1. By hand, copy nearly the entire textbook using color-coded pens. 2. Highlight the really important things like dates, names, definitions. Those were key to a good grade. 3. Rewrite the highlighted information onto color-coded index cards, with my color-coded pens, of course. 4. Carry the cards everywhere and read them over and over and over. 5. Partake in an hour-long quiz session with my very patient mother for at least 3 nights leading up to the test. I had done it. I figured out the secret to school success. Memorize everything until the test was over. I called it the catch and release method of learning. And it worked without fail. That is, until I took high school chemistry. Mr. Rupert's chemistry class taught me what it really meant to be a good student, because I failed nearly every test I took. This class challenged everything I believed to be true in regards to my own learning. The first time I failed a test, I thought my teacher would be mad at me. I thought chemistry was pointless because I was never going to need it anyway. And I thought I was a bad student because I didn't get that coveted smiling 100. Mr. Rupert had a do-over policy. We could stay after school and retake every test until he ran out of versions. I took advantage of this. Every single test. He was nearing retirement when I took his class, so there were a lot of versions to go through. A new rule was made because of me. Once you got over an 85, you had to stop. One day after school, as I worked on a fourth retake for over an hour, Mr. Rupert interrupted me and said it was time to stop. I panicked. My teacher was clearly putting me out of my misery because he knew I wouldn't pass anyway. I couldn't have been more wrong. He told me to finish the test at home. I asked, "Aren't you afraid I will cheat and look up the answers?" He smiled a little, then calmly replied, "You can use your book. I know how many times you have studied this material. You know it. You just have a hard time showing it on paper." In that moment, I realized passing or failing was not the true mark of a good student. It was my perseverance, diligence, and motivation that Mr. Rupert valued over my grade. After that, I began to value those traits in myself as well. I don't remember what I got on that test, but what I learned was more validating than any A+. Mr. Rupert embodied Wallingford Public Schools' mission statement. He was an innovative educator who led all students to discover and pursue their personal best. Personally, he showed me I was worth more than a number written in red ink. Educators have the opportunity and responsibility to shape young lives on a daily basis. By providing learning opportunities which are appropriately challenging, yet also attainable, we have the power to help students create positive self-images and see themselves as successful. So how do we manage this delicate balance for all of our students each and every day? Richard Lavoie encourages teachers to think of themselves as coaches and their students as players. Coaches strengthen players' abilities by meeting them where they are, helping them find their niche, and working together as a team. Then, they watch their protégés soar. Regardless of the age you teach, I think we can all agree witnessing a student succeed, be it reading their first book in kindergarten, learning to shoot a basket in gym class, or passing a high school chemistry test, even if it takes several attempts, is the best part of our profession. So this year I challenge you to be the coach in the playing field of your classroom. Let students know struggle and failure are part of learning. Value their progress and process over the final product. Engage learners of all abilities through differentiation and personalization. Tell your students the specific qualities you admire in them and in their work. Help them understand learning never ends, even for adults. Most importantly, believe your students are capable of great things, and they will be. Okay, Team Wallingford, it's time to tighten our laces, dust off those playbooks, get our game faces on, and head back into our classroom for another successful season. Play ball!
Again, congratulations to all the teachers of the year at each building. And as you can see, Erin is exceptional in terms of expressing the motivation that we want to and we continue, and I know all you do is instill in your students. So thank you for that. Before I move on to the last award, I neglected to give Ms. Chifoltis another part of her bling. So could you come on up here? I forgot to give you another part of your... It was my fault and I can't go back with it, so congratulations. So it is my pleasure to be able to present the last award, which is our Administrator of the Year award. Actually, this person was the first person I hired probably prior to me even starting the job. I had not even come on the scene officially in Wallingford. I'd been appointed, and I had the task of working with a team of dedicated teachers and parents and administrators to select the next leader of Moses Y. Beach Elementary School. And I think that if we thought back to that day, and if a couple other board members were here with Ms. McKay, they would realize that there was no doubt in our mind when Mr. Arcero walked in the room that he was the next leader of that school. Being understated, very quiet, mild-mannered, not knowing anything about his ability to connect with people or children or families. You didn't have any hair at that point, right? No, I didn't think so. Just wanted to confirm that 9 years ago you didn't have hair. Just saying. But no, of course. We knew with Rob's passion, his love for learning, for himself and others, and most importantly, his passion for students and families, he was going to be, and as evidenced by today, is a great success in our school district. We are very, very fortunate to have him as the principal of Moses Y. Beach Elementary School and to recognize him as Administrator of the Year this year for Wallingford Public Schools. So Rob, come on.
All right. Woo, there are a lot of you. Thank you. I'd like to recognize the members of the Town Council and Board of Education. Your presence illustrates a commitment to the children of Wallingford, and your courage and dedication to innovation and excellence makes me proud to serve you. Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Menzo, your partnership on this our ninth year in Wallingford. Reminds me of some valuable advice given by my former principal and mentor, Dolores Bolton. She shared, surround yourself with people who will better you. So thank you. I'm a better leader because of my time here in Wallingford. Thank you. Mrs. Lavalette, you've been an advocate both personally and professionally. I'm grateful for your poised and ever thoughtful support in times needed. We've shared several of those. I'm deeply appreciative of how you've supported me personally and professionally as a dad, as a husband, so thank you. And to Mrs. Latour, what can I say? You've taught me more about teamwork than I ever thought possible when navigating the concept of a partner school. I had the distinct pleasure of working closely with you on a day-to-day basis, and I'm excited your new endeavor will furnish this district with your numerous talents. Keen intellect, unwavering passion for what's best for kids, and a sense of humor, all gifts. Thank you, partner. This district is also blessed to have an amazing group of devoted administrators, and I'm humbled to be singled out, even if just for a brief moment, given the incredible group of leaders that they are. Across every level and department, your collegial spirit and integrity inspire a faith and confidence that empowers those around you to heed that call to action. Your key levers for progress, charged with making critical decisions every day, and Lord knows you certainly don't win any popularity contest for making those tough decisions. However, be reminded, it is a privilege to be the person in that moment to make that call. To the incredible families of Moses Y, to say that the past 8 years, even though they're not here, I need to invoke this, have been a pleasure is an egregious understatement. I'm honored to have been a witness as I've watched families grow and move through the halls of MYB and on to greater pursuits and into the hands of all of you. And of course, to my dedicated staff. Each day, I am in awe of the tireless commitment displayed by each of you in service of our children. I shared earlier with them, how do I encapsulate a thank you befitting an entire staff, the engine that drives our machine? Simply, you don't. It's impossible. You're an all-star cast filled with priceless gems, including our newest treasures and additions to our team. Our halls are lined with skilled practitioners, professionals that elevate both the hearts and the minds of small humans. A charge that should make the average citizen genuflect. Your grit, yes, grit, comes in handy each and every day because small and cute does not equal easy by any means. I'm privileged to have the opportunity to tilt the spotlight towards an amazing NYB staff that is well-deserved. Give them a round of applause. I want to quickly invoke the names of my girls, my rock, my wife Lisa, and my daughters Olivia and Elena. They've been gracious enough to share me with this role that I serve, and I thank them for realizing what the reward means to me. This afternoon, I'd like to explore the power of looking for bright spots, and I have just two quick anecdotes to conclude with. So it's probably no surprise to many of you that leadership is not actually reserved for the administrative ranks. I offer the following anecdotes as a reflection, an apt reminder as we begin a new school year, one that we all know has the power to make a difference, while finding a balance in the seemingly insurmountable task that is educating a child successfully. First, in order to do that, I'd like to take you to Vietnam, and I was reminded of this story in our administrative treat. Jerry Sternin, an employee of Save the Children, was charged with setting up an office to fight malnutrition. No small task as well. He traveled with his wife, 10-year-old son. None of them spoke Vietnamese. You have 6 months to make a difference, the ministry shared, with a chilly reception. They weren't exactly wanted. Of course, he immersed himself in contemporary research and studies regarding malnutrition, which of course reveal it's complex. Poor sanitation, near universal poverty, lack of clean water, and a limited understanding of what nutrition was. But he did something different. He dismissed all of that as true but useless information. The team engaged local citizens, they worked collaboratively, weighed children in a number of villages, and they looked for those bright spots, kids who were bigger and healthier. They surveyed their target audience and amassed what the prevalent thinking was around feeding young children. You see, in Vietnam, typically they have 2 meals a day, and small children eat with their families, feeding themselves at will, not like the Italian nonni, mangia mangia. Very different. So he set off to find those deviations, and instead, when he found those kids, those outliers, those bright spots, he found out that they ate 4 meals a day. Not more, just spread out. Turns out malnourished stomachs, little people, can't process that much food in only 2 meals. Instead, some of those villagers went and added small pieces of sweet potato greens, little rice and shrimp from the patties, and it was considered a low-class move, but yet these people did that and they were successful. It revealed those families were doing something different, and he decided to capitalize on that teach a man to fish philosophy. New cooking approaches, interactively modeled, and changes that were scaled up, and they eventually reached 5 million Vietnamese families. Remember, they weren't experts, but they were armed with faith in the bright spots. Now flip back to this side of the world. Bobby, a Kentucky 9th grader, was on the verge of being outplaced. Story sounds more like we can relate to, and usually he was in the principal's office by mid-morning. Social services was very involved, and while his parents were not, he arrived at the school psychologist's office with his usual mantra, "School stinks." But the counselor, John Murphy, did something different. Yes, he too ignored all those problems, simply labeling them true, but not very useful. He explored with Bobby, so tell me about a time at school when you don't get into trouble. Enter a one, Mrs. Smith. Counselor Murphy explored Bobby's perception that this one particular teacher was nicer. Not content to accept that she was just nicer, Murphy probed until Bobby explored several things about her that helped him behave in her class. One of which was that this particular teacher greeted Bobby at the door each and every single day. A dedicated faculty like many, other teachers enthusiastically embraced these few simple interventions. There were others, but one of which was to engage and greet Bobby at the door each and every time. The power of a connection was a huge bright spot. Weeks passed, months later the outplacement was no longer on the table and referrals were reduced by 80%. By no means an angel, Bobby had made huge strides, all due in large part to dismissing the useless archaeological problem solving, digging back into the past and history and unreturned homework that we know can be a part of it. And instead, he turned into bright spot evangelist, looking for those moments. Even with a foot over the threshold of failure, you can still find your way back to success. So from Vietnam to Kentucky, both anecdotes shared a common theme. In each case, a relatively small change, cooking with sweet potato greens, or simply greeting a student at the door, had a big impact on a big problem. There's a clear asymmetry between the scale of the problem and the scale of the solution. Big problem, small solution. Instead, they're often tackled by a series of small problems. Big problems are. They're rarely solved with commensurately big solutions. So as we span 14 years across from pre-K to grade 12, this journey can be filled with bright spots, and that's my charge for you this year. Be vigilant in their pursuit. Once you do, bring them to the mountaintop and share them with everyone. I wish everyone a successful year filled with memorable bright spots. Thank you.
All right, before I conclude my presentation, I do want to thank and sincerely thank all of our administrators in the district for their hard work. They're incredible individuals who work so hard over the summer to pull class lists together to make sure their spaces are up and ready to run for you as the educators. So a round of applause to all of our building level administrators, curriculum coordinators, everyone for their hard work. So, with that said, you'll notice that it says up here, igniting calmness in an environment of change. We all know that our nation, our world, our state is having a little challenge with calmness. We have some people who do the ready, fire, aim principle daily. We have government who's having challenges coming to some resolution on such things as the budget. But as I sent out in an email to all of you and to all families, our goal in Wallingford is to remain calm through this. We are not going to be voting anybody off the island. We're not going to be pressing any panic buttons. We need to make certain that we remain our focus on our students, but also ourselves through this process. So what I want to share with you today is, while this might be what it looks like at central office, this is a much younger version of me. I'll let you picture who the other two people on either side of me are. Hey! I got the look from her and I got that from Carrie. But that's okay. So while it might look like that, others, calmness might look like this. I know I also resemble the guy with the remote. That's for certain. Usually there's a bag of chips cuddled under there too. This might be for some of you also, but I think that this probably resonates with most of us. with that said, hopefully you're more successful at yoga than and those people are. I know I wouldn't be, if we had time, I was gonna work with some staff to try to do a video of me trying to do that, but then I talked to Jen Kress and Sharon Bukowski, and they said there's not enough workers' comp paperwork for you to do that. So with that, we need to try to remain calm. We need to find our place for calmness, but we have to realize that with calmness, there's always change. Unfortunately, as much as we want to say it, we have to have change occurring in our lives. It's a fact. And so with that said, we could have this kind of change.
What this organization desperately needs is change.
I love this last guy.
Easily erasable. Whiteboard markers.
I sent that video to the Legislative Office Building this morning as an incentive, as well as offering a collection if necessary. We could shake the can on behalf of the Capitol. So the fact is, change is around us. It's something that's going to exist, and as you could say here by Thomas Friedman, it says you can fight change, adapt to change, embrace change, create change, or lead change. No matter what, it's not going away. So I think that that's part of it, is to maintain calmness while change is occurring, knowing that we are all in this together. I also thought this Chinese proverb was pretty good. Man who says it cannot be done should just not interrupt man doing it. So if you're doing something and you have all this noise around you, and we have a lot of noise in our world, especially if you start thinking about mindfulness and meditation, there's a lot of noise in our world. And you have to sometimes put that noise out. So how do we balance calm into change? What I'm suggesting is that we need to empathize, we need to embrace, and we need to empower. So again, as it connects to Rob's statements about empathy, about looking deeper, we need to know that everyone we come into contact with has a story. And not always does A plus B equal C in our solution-making process. So we have to really take the moment and the time and have that moment of calmness. When you have that difficult situation, count to 20, count to 2020, but try to take that time to reflect. Next, in terms of this, nothing in life is to be feared, it's only to be understood. And now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. I think that's key in our society right now, nationally as well as locally. But we also need to embrace our new students of the world. This is what you're all dealing with. As Rob said, they might be little, but they come with opportunities. In China, this was a picture that was taken. The teacher said, you may take notes. Notice what they're using? Their cell phones. They're taking pictures. So we need to embrace the reality of the situation. Lastly, empower.
My dear, this is where you shake when I'm free. I dream to hold you in my arms. I dream to hold you in my arms.
Wait, the natural instinct is coming.
Kick it!
to limit the fun. We got to keep the fun. But she's forcing her way back. So we want to make sure this year that as we look at our students from this lens, that excitement, that pure joy, that we don't take that out of them. The natural instinct was the mother to grab her out of the rain and bring her in. But let her stay out there. So we want to make sure our students have the opportunity. Now I love this one. Look at the dog. Look at the dog. The dog wants to get in the end. But the dog knows better. Runs right into the house. So we want to empower not only our students, but ourselves to have that joy. Have that joy as educators. But when all else fails, well, first of all, the world only cares about and pays off what you can do with what you know, and it doesn't care about how you learned it. And I think that's the key thing that I think ties into what Emily was saying today. But when all else fails,
alright, ready, set, swing it. There it is. Keep your eye on the ball. Try again, try. Swing. Eye on the ball, yep, go.
every elementary teacher just was like, that is the emotion I feel every day. The moment the father said, keep your eye on the ball, he was like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. So set clear expectations. My middle school friends would understand that that resonates with me every time. So, expect the unexpected. And last but not least, never take yourself too seriously.
Copy this down. No talking, please. This could be on the test, so you might want to pay attention. Why is that? It's facing me. Cut your hair in the mirror. It's the same, that's what that reminded me of. Hey, that? What song is that? Made it up. You wouldn't know.
So, make it a great year, everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to conclude with the last performance. Thank you.
Before I announce our last performance, finishes, that there's an ice cream social immediately following in the cafeteria. If you're new to the building, when you come out the doors, you're going to take a left. Please welcome to the stage Moran Middle School's cast members of Hairspray performing You Can't Stop the Beat.
Stop the beat ever since this whole world began. So I'm down to take it to me, yeah, that's what I can do today. 'Cause you can't stop the motion of the ocean or the sun in the sky. You can wonder if you wanna, but I'll never respond. And if you try to hold me down, I'm gonna spit in your eye and say that you can't stop the beat. Stop my happiness as a beat.